Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And oh man, what an episode of Lucha Underground tonight. Obviously, I have a lot to say, but aside from that, I mean, this really was a very interesting episode. We got some high stakes laid down for next week as it relates to the Rey Chavo situation. We got a great deal of illumination about what exactly Texano and Cage are fighting for, and believe me, it is freaking huge. I mean, something I wasn't even anticipating. And of course, the main event, give to the gods, sexy star Johnny Mundo. If you guys heard live reactions, you already know how I feel about that. But I'm sure we'll have plenty more to say on an objective front that I can't wait to get into. On the whole, another phenomenal episode of Lucha Underground. As you can imagine, this one's going to hold a special place in my heart. But, partner, what'd you think of tonight's episode, man?
I got to tell you, this was a really solid episode, but nothing will possibly defeat the amazing just freak out and promo that you had at the end of the show.
Dude, I can tell that I barely have a voice left. I'll be able to get through the rest of our scheduled content, but man, I put my heart into that shit. I've got a lot more to say about that when we get to the appropriate segment. But hey, again, I don't want my mark out or the amazing main event to discount the other stuff that we got on the show, because from a narrative standpoint, again, some very interesting things came into focus, and even some other storylines, the Rabbit Tribe, another cool vignette tonight, Ivelisse and Jeremiah, that took an interesting turn. So Lucha Underground continues to lay the groundwork. And is this episode 8, partner? Because I've been trying to keep track each week of the episodes so I don't lose sight, but I'm thinking this is episode 8, isn't it?
As a matter of fact, it is, my friend, yes.
So you're talking episode 8 here, 31 episodes to go, and I feel like I'm hanging on by a thread in the best possible way. I'm grateful to be alive, folks. So let's get into some substantive discussions. I mean, you guys already know how we do. There is no heat of the night in Lucha Underground, especially on nights like tonight. So let us get right into our Lucha Underground review, and we start, of course, with the recap, putting all the storylines into focus that are going to be touched on tonight, which I love because that already tells people, hey, if you're keeping up with these stories, this is what we're going to be, visiting tonight. So that's great. And then we go right into our first cinematic. Dario Cueto in his office. Sexy Star comes in. Give to the Gods championship over her shoulder, and she cuts right to the chase. She says, hey, Dario, I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of your brother, and I'm letting you know I'm cashing in my Give to the Gods championship next week for a shot at Matanza. And
then how'd that work out for you, sexy?
Oh, believe me. Believe me, I'll have plenty of time to turn her over the fire when the time comes. But because she is Sexy Star and she's beaten many people in the temple, sometimes with a La Mystica armbar, sometimes with apparently the most powerful inside cradle in human history. You never know. She could be serious. She could really be, when she's, having her huevos, as Dario Cueto liked to say, being serious about challenging Matanza. But Cueto lets her know, hey, fine, you get your match. I have no problem with that. But you do have your match with Johnny Mundo tonight. And if you can beat him, then you get your match with Matanza next week. But you've got to retain Give to the Gods. Sexy Star said she would, and that Cueto better prepare himself to crown Sexy the first ever female Lucha Underground champion. Try and stifle your laughter, folks. We've got a lot of the program to get to before we can do that. But yeah, I mean, look, in all seriousness, not knowing what we know now, obviously, I love this. right? Because it's already a tense situation, and I'm speaking from a vantage point as a Mundo Mark, so even more tense than normal, and you've got the champion wanting to cash in her chips. I think this is totally in line with the sexy character. In fact, I like this from the sexy character because keep in mind, this is still a little ways away from Aztec Warfare 3, and she's got Matanza on top of that. So this just, again, goes back to that sexy is courageous. She is brave. She'll take on any odd because, you know, that's just how she is. She's a fighter at heart. So for character-driven purposes, I thought this was a brilliant cinematic. I thought it set a great tone for the show because I'll tell you, Lucha Underground definitely made a huge deal out of this Gift of the Gods Championship match because I don't know if they've done it before. It's just one of the few times that I was made aware of, but they even released a sneak peek of the match on their YouTube channel, and then they opened with this cinematic. So they wanted you to know, like, this is can't miss because either you know that Sexy's going to step in there with Matanza, or we have other possibilities, which we'll get into. So I really, really like this. What do you think about this, man?
Yeah, man. I'm really struggling to keep my brain in the realm that it's supposed to be based on everything that's happened tonight. So
I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you.
I know. Believe me, I know, John.
Yes, you do. Should we just move on then, partner?
Well, what we were talking about the whole sexy star telling Cueto that she wants to cash in, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, I mean, I thought that this was a move from Sexy. Like, she kind of feels like her back's up against the wall. She knows she has to defend the title for the first time ever tonight against Mundo. She's obviously feeling the pressure, and you know, she realized that she couldn't just hang on to the title and not be able to defend it. So she took advantage, or not really took advantage, but she decided that rather than kind of, you know, going along with that torture, she was going to take advantage of what the title allows her to take advantage of and cash in for the title shot. So desperation move on Sexy Star's part didn't really end up working out so well, though.
No, it did not. And again, I'm going to save all my remarks when we get to the appropriate segment. So solid cinematic, but I guess let's move on.
Okay. Well, up next, we actually had our first match of the night, which was Marty the Moth Martinez versus Ivelisse. And yeah, this was a pretty freaking solid match. Ivelisse used a lot of her, I believe, is it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that she does? That she has?
I believe you're right. Yes, I believe it is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
She used a lot of that. We saw a guillotine from her that almost got Marty down to his knees, which could have ended the match very easily. Marty, though, really, I believe at the end of the match, he ended up winning with a new finisher, didn't he?
Yeah, it was like a modified full Nelson slam of sorts.
Yeah, and he was using that full Nelson all match though, so it actually, I mean, as much as it sucks that Ivelisse lost to him for Ivelisse, it's not like, you know, she was completely dominated or anything, but he had that game plan from the beginning. He obviously wanted to try that new finisher out from the onset because he was using the full Nelson on Ivelisse a lot in this match.
Yeah, which I'm so glad you brought that up, Ashton. That's a brilliant point because I wouldn't have even bothered giving that any regard because it just shows really both of them as performers putting a match together. But I am going to, you know, focus on Marty more specifically because he employed the move. The in-ring psychology was just really next level. It's like, okay, this is my finisher, so I'm going to use modified forms of it like these precursors to really set it up and get the full effect of it. I think that's great. And it really just shows you how next level Marty is. I am so big on this guy. Anybody that's listened to the program knows that. I know you are too. You know, we're both fans of the guy, but I know I've gone out of my way and said like he's my favorite heel right now because I love his mannerisms and just everything. He's so good, dude. He is so good. And even with this finisher, because it's weird because I was even getting ready to say that it was the kind of finish that seemed a little bit out of nowhere, I guess, because we hadn't prepped for this new finisher. But what you just said, yeah, it still does kind of have that out of nowhere feel for the uninitiated, i.e. us, but at the same time, there was that foundational work there. There was that psychology employed. So really great stuff from Marty here.
Yeah, for sure. Marty was great here. And then after the match, I was expecting for him and Mariposa to really do like a brutal beatdown on Ivelisse and that would kind of cue up Jeremiah to come out for the save. But They didn't. They just kind of rolled her out of the ring and then started celebrating, and then Jeremiah showed up anyway.
Yeah, Jeremiah showed up anyway, and he did 2 sick pump kicks, one to Marty, one to Mariposa, and the whole thing kind of breaks down into a brawl. Jeremiah twice, once on Mariposa and once on Marty, was teasing a powerbomb. We didn't get it. Ivelisse does come to his aid, and this relationship continues to be cringe because Jeremiah 3 times tried hugging Ivelisse. Ivelisse does not do that crap. You know, anybody that really knows the Ivelisse character, after 3 seasons, she's not the PDA type. And yeah, just I still get really bad vibes from this relationship. But I want to ask you, because I mentioned on live reactions, we know the end game for Ivelisse. Whatever route she takes, whatever twists and turns she embarks on, the end destination is still the same. Ultima Lucha Tres and Katrina one-on-one with Ivelisse. Like that's the end game. Where does Jeremiah fit? Like, is he a long-term cog in this machine? Is he going to be gone after like maybe 5 weeks or so, or maybe a bit longer? Like, where do you see this? How pernicious do you see this relationship being to Ivelisse? How inhibitive do you see it being to her getting her hands on Katrina and that whole story? Do you see that like poisoning anything? Because he just seems to have his thumb in everything.
I'm going to be completely upfront with you. I think that this is going to be another example similar to Son of Havoc, where by the end of the season, they don't have anything to do with each other.
Right. I could see that.
I think that Jeremiah might even be using Ivelisse just to get a foot in the door at the temple because, you know, he wants to be a fighter rather than he wants to be with Ivelisse.
Yeah, I can totally see where you're coming from, dude. And here's the thing. Because I did it a lot in season 2, so I'm going to be doing it a lot again here. From the trailer, you know that Jeremiah, he's picking fights.
Say what you will, but trailer analysis works. Last season, we had a lot of bold predictions in the trailer analysis that came true. And everything that we saw in the trailer last season, we also saw in the actual season. So It's not like us using the trailer to try and kind of decode what some of the storylines are going to be this season is, you know, kind of a bad idea or ineffective, because we did it last season and it worked.
Yes, it did. And we know that Jeremiah seems to be picking a fight with everybody. Particularly, I know at some point it seems like he's going to cross paths with Muertes. And so I could even see that breakup that you're kind of envisioning, because Ivelisse, rather than being an end unto herself, she's just a means to an end for Jeremiah to get his foot in the door. He just kicks her to the curb and then somehow finds his way in Mil Muertes' crosshairs, which that's going to be fascinating too, given the development that the Mil Muertes Puma story took tonight, which is another thing we're going to really have to talk about. I actually almost forgot that happened too, and that was huge. So yeah, very interesting, although highly dysfunctional relationship. I do not ship it, for the record. And yeah, good opening match here, but Marty does get the win. So very cool for him.
Yeah, Marty gets the win, but by the end of the segment, Ivelisse and Jeremiah were on top. They were both pounding away on their kind of respective opponents in the beatdown.
Exactly, yep.
I'm looking forward to this tag team match, although I think Marty and Mariposa would win because I don't think Ivelisse and Jeremiah would have the communication.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. The Moth tribe would pick them apart, I think. I completely agree with you there.
Mm-hmm. All right, so up next, very interesting here. We saw a man in a white suit and a top hat describing how the White Rabbit led him back to his tribe. And then we saw his face, and we knew this from the trailer, but now we know it even more set in stone. Paul London.
Yeah, and you know what? Before I even say anything, what did you think about this vignette?
Oh, it was freaking great.
I love it, dude. It's funny because with Lucha Underground, I really am hyped about virtually everything, but the Rabbit Tribe just has that extra level of intrigue for me. Like, what are they going to do when they come into the temple? What are they about? What's their vibe? And yeah, I love that new tribes are coming into the fold. I mean, you said it best. You had the declarative statement, I think, of pre-season 3 analysis in that Cold War mentality. And now with the Rabbit Tribe entering the fray, we don't know what kind of difference makers they're going to be in everything. Because again, one thing that I find most alluring, and what I really think the bread and butter of Lucha Underground is, and it really hit home for me, I want to say on episode 6 was the real Wrestle Heavy episode with not a lot of narrative. The narrative and the mythology, that's their biggest selling point to me because they tell stories better than anybody, and I fucking love this universe. Even with how lethal and hazardous it is, this universe, I'm enthralled by it. Every puzzle piece that we get, I'm tantalized. And knowing now that the Rabbit Tribe is a part of that mythology, a part of that universe, that just opens up another door. And when you open that door, what's on the other side of a door? Anybody's guess. Infinite possibility. And I'm just stoked for these guys. I haven't seen Paul London formally in years. Maybe I saw him in a one-off at an indie show, but like I haven't been following him actively. I don't know what he's been doing. I don't know what he's going to bring. I don't know, what he's going to be about. And with this kind of character, it's cause for excitement. So I'm really excited for him. I'm excited for us that we get to bear witness to this amazingness. And yeah, I know they said they'll be here soon. Soon isn't soon enough. I want to see the Rabbit Tribe wreak havoc right away.
Definitely, yeah. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. So then up next, we had we're coming back to what we were just at, Ivelisse and Jeremiah. In the parking lot this time, though, they kind of got into an argument, and Jeremiah says that Dario gave him an offer, and then he uses the lamest quote in history, the couple that slays together stays together. That's how it goes. And then he talks about how the temple could make them stronger. And Ivelisse just kind of like, yeah, whatever, get in the car. And then they left.
Yeah, and that's another thing. This relationship does not seem like it has a long life to it because Jeremiah just is not listening. Ivelisse did not want another workplace relationship. Her last one didn't work out. And by the way, that line that you mentioned, I didn't even think it was possible for my body to tense up that much. And my condition pretty much is that my muscles are in a constant state of tightness. And Jeremiah took me to a whole nother level. I don't even have words for how bad that was. That was just a whole other level. Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate, Ivelisse can do better. I don't know how these guys are going to blow up, how much danger Ivelisse is in, because here's another thing too. We can joke about how corny Jeremiah is, and oh yeah, he's freaking corny as hell. But I do really get a bad vibe from this guy. Like, domestic abuser 101, cliche villain in a Lifetime movie kind of vibe, except exponentially worse because it's Lucha Underground. So I'm hoping Ivelisse is okay. And yeah, I'm just really curious how this is going to develop because it's not going to end well. They give you every sign that it's not going to end well. It's just, how is Ivelisse going to come out of it? And again, in the broader story of she has Katrina to worry about. So how is this conflict going to prepare her or even diminish her going into that fight, So I'm excited.
I mean, yeah, absolutely, dude. It's obviously not going to end well. We saw in the trailer that Jeremiah and Ivelisse are fighting each other at one point this season, so we know that there's definitely going to be something bad. And that's another interesting point is she straight up tells him, Dario's an asshole. If we end up having to fight each other, I'm going to kick your ass.
And I love it. Look, Ivelisse, there's a reason why you and I love her so much, and speaking solely for myself, I never want to speak for you. It's just because she always asserts herself. She's never once fallen back on anybody else. She's always wanted to do things on her own terms, and yet she's never obnoxious about it. It's not like, oh, look at me. I'm a woman and I'm asserting myself in a world where that still may not be okay, even though it's 2016. No, it's just how she lives. That's her default setting. They don't make a production out of it, and I love it. She goes in. Why? Because she wants to beat somebody's ass. I'm not going to tell her she can't. You know why? Because if I did, she'd beat my ass, and I'm in a really good mood tonight. So, it's just great stuff. I love her. I love how the character's portrayed, and I love that this whole relationship with Jeremiah, I think they're walking that line perfectly because it's clear to me, and I don't know if you'd agree with my analysis on this, but it's clear to me that she's in some kind of danger with a guy like that because he's clearly not all put together. But it's not in a way of, oh, she's weak or she's like victimized, at least yet in any way. And if it does come to that point, they've written her to the point where she's not going to take that shit. She is going to just, come out swinging. And that's why I think I'm so amped up for this, because I think they could really tell a really good story here. So I'm just curious how all the pieces are going to fall into place.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I guess we can move on to what happened next, which was a segment in or outside of the temple in a limo in the Councilman Delgado and his lord's limo specifically. And, Councilman Delgado told Dario Cueto, who ended up, this was kind of how we got to the segment, was there was an awesome transition from Ivelisse and Jeremiah's vehicle over to the limo. Like they used the headlights to, it was so cool. So anyway, Delgado, it's Dario Cueto walking up to and getting into the limo. And then Delgado says, someone's ascension is now complete. And he asks Dario if he has chosen the next host body. And Cueto says that he's got two in mind. And then Delgado gave him a box. And Cueto said that he was considering the winner of his Ultimate Opportunity Best of 5 series, so either Cage or Texano. And then he steps out of the limo with this box. And at some point in this whole conversation, too, I know Cueto said that he kind of chose the two most worthy of a god, I think is what he said. Something like that. Something along those lines. So John and I have kind of arrived at the conclusion here that whoever wins the Ultimate Opportunity will have the opportunity to receive a god.
Which, you know what, again, because I have quite a bit to say, but I want to give the floor to you first, because this is a huge revelation that this is also part of the universe. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say so surprising, because we know that gods are a thing and have known really from the word go, it feels like. But what did you think about this, dude? Give me all your thoughts, because I know you and I were pretty stunned in live reactions, but now that you've had time to gather yourself, what do you think about all this?
Oh man, this is huge in my opinion. Like this, to me, this is like your kind of like overarching, altering kind of storyline if it comes to fruition, and that should concern everybody in the temple.
Oh my God, yeah. What I love, and see, this is where I have to give another big point of praise to Lucha Underground, regardless of what a person may feel about Lucha Underground and its product. Obviously, you and I love it. I cannot get enough of this shit. I want to switch my blood with this shit. But does not change the fact this is the benefit you reap when you have a universe this imaginative and this rich. You can introduce something like this, and you and I, we may have been shocked, but we didn't bat any eyes. I believed it the moment he said it. I'm sure you believed it too. You know, it's not something that you take a double take and go, come on. Because you know, Lucha Underground has laid the groundwork for revelations like this. And what I love about this, because I made such a big point about it, such a big stink about it in live reactions, and it bears repeating here. In most promotions, when you hear things described as, oh, this ultimate opportunity, you think, okay, they're finally going to get their shot at the big gold, right? You know, the world title. And if Lucha Underground had gone that route, I wouldn't have held it against them. Sure, I would have telegraphed it from a mile away, but I wouldn't have held it against them. But this is bigger than the world title. This is the biggest prize, air quotes, Dario Cueto has ever offered anybody. And it's one, I agree with that. I think you had the best summation of this right out of the gate. You know, it is a game changer. It is something overarching storylines. Like it has that kind of impact. It has that kind of ripple effect. And everybody in the temple should be concerned, because especially if the guy that you and I are putting our money on to win it, that being Cage, wins it, what is stopping him from A, becoming Lucha Underground champion, and B, holding on to that championship for as long as he damn well pleases? You know, and that's the beauty of it. If a guy like that is your champion, forget the babyface heel dichotomy. I think you just blow that out of the water and you just have an obstacle, period, for anybody to overcome. And it's such new and daring and adventurous territory, and I love it. I love that Lucha Underground is so confident in its mythos and in its world building that we can do this, and we know people will follow us. And I know you and I, speaking for us, we're following them to the bitter end, however this story plays out. but I cannot believe they've done this. And it's huge. You know,
I can't believe
you've done that. I knew you were going to say it. I'm like, you know what? There it is. But I mean, yeah, man, seriously, like I cannot believe that they have introduced this element now, because here's another thing to consider. If they can do it once, they can do it again. And how many gods do they want to do this for? You know, and that's the big thing. Like, again, like so many other maneuvers in Lucha Underground, this opens up so many questions and answers. I feel like virtually nothing, save for the most important question of all, I guess, at the time. You know, what's the winner of the best of 5 going to get? Well, now you know. But now I guess that comes with its own slew of questions.
And that's the thing, too, is that there was so much criticism of this best of 5 series, and people talking about how, oh, nothing quite like a best of 5 with Cage and a guy no one cares about. Well, now you might not care about Texano, but this series just got so much more interesting.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Again, like I said, what does every other promotion do? Oh, championship opportunity of some kind, which is fine, but only because that's the confines of their universe. This is where Lucha Underground differentiates. Their universe has so much more depth and so much more richness. They can go beyond material championships. They can say, oh, you become a god, or oh, you get this. It's insanity, but it's such welcomed insanity. I love this, because this cinematic was probably, well, second highlight of the show, because we'll get to it. But, I mean, objectively speaking, this was, I think, the biggest game-changing segment of the entire show, if not in the series' history. Because, man, like, what the fuck? Huge, dude. Huge. Do you have anything substantive that you want to say? Because really, all I'm going to do is keep throwing platitudes. I'm still at a loss for words all this time later. I have no idea what the fallout of this is going to be. So
yeah, you're just stuck in what's the
superlatives?
Superlative mode. Thank you for grammaring for me. I'm really bad at that sometimes. But yeah, that's what I was trying to say. But yeah, dude, this is like I said, this is a game changer. At the end of the day, this is a game changer. And I really kind of wanted us to figure out, or find out rather, who was going to win this whole thing tonight. But Lucha Underground just insists on making us wait.
That's what they do best, my friend. That's what they do best. They just...
No, John. That's what Ring of Honor does best. Lucha Underground is better than that.
Well, I was going to say, and here's what I was going to say. They tickle your balls, but unlike other promotions, and I'm glad you brought up ROH, so we have a tangible example, the payoff is always amazing. So they can lay down their pieces. I'm just going to be sitting over here foaming at the goddamn mouth. So with that, I guess, I mean, you already kind of mentioned it. Our match, was it next, or did we have another cinematic after this?
Well, after this... I think you might be... No. After this, we got Rey Mysterio barging into Dario Cueto's office. Well, he didn't barge in. He was actually very polite about it. He kind of knocked on the door, waited for Cueto to say come in, and then he went in. So me saying that he barged in was just me trying to add flavor to the language that we're going on here. But Mysterio goes into Cueto's office and says, you know, I might not have a lot of time left in the temple. And then he kind of explains why he says that. He wants a loser leaves Lucha match against Chavo Guerrero Jr. And basically it comes down to Rey feels like he has more important things to take care of while he's in the temple, and it's too important for him to worry about Chavo and his petty bullshit, basically, is what it comes down to.
Yes. Rey gets right down to business. Loser leaves Lucha match. Dario, of course, loves it. Violence, you know, and that whole shtick. And he sees a real opportunity here. He even says, I know my main event next week. And now you guys do too. Chavo, Rey Mysterio, loser leaves Lucha match. I'll be honest, I care about this story in a way because Chavo's been such an integral part of the Luchaverse, but I don't really think he's going to be gone for good, maybe from in-ring competition, but I still think he'll be that foil for certain people at certain times. He'll be that wrench that comes in just at a moment when you wouldn't expect a wrench to be thrown in. But really, I want Rey to get onto this bigger business that he's been talking about. Now, the good news is there's a lot of table room left. You know, this is only episode 8, 31 episodes left. But Rey, I really haven't found him too compelling since beating Puma at Ultima Lucha Dos. I feel like now it's starting to dip for me a little bit. Maybe I'm a lone partner. Maybe you do still have interest. But, you know, for me, I am kind of looking for him to pick it up a little bit. I'm not saying I'm bored with him and just get him out of here. I'm just saying let's wrap this up so we can get back to Rey's bigger purposes that he's talking about, because that's where I think the money is and certainly where my intrigue is. So good cinematic, but I'm ready to move on.
That's definitely what Rey is doing that's been the most exciting and interesting for sure.
Certainly. Yeah, completely agree with you.
Yeah. So anyway, up next, I believe, was in fact the main event of the evening, Sexy Star versus Johnny Mundo.
Wow. You know what? I don't really know.
An out-of-body experience after this match ended.
And do you know, look, here's the thing, right? And why this match was so good, aside from the finish, obviously, because somebody somewhere had to know, you know, because that whole false finish of Matt comes in and cleans house, gets stunned, or stuns Mundo, Sexy gets the chair shot. I'm thinking, oh man, like always, 3 count. When he kicked out, and I love it because it didn't even guarantee that he'd win, but when he kicked
right
out,
there was your out-of-body experience that I was referring to, was the kick out.
Yeah, yes, because every time, and you know it, dude, because for most of the moments that I'm painfully thinking back on, you've been there, and you know that's how it always goes down. But 2 words have never sounded sweeter. Not tonight. Not tonight, because tonight, Johnny Mundo wins. Johnny Mundo wins, even with the Mac interference. And I was worried to death about Angelico and everything. Didn't show up. He still will. I know he will at some point. I'm just hoping he picks his spots and maybe thinks to himself, hey, I'd like to be world champion, so let me wait until after Johnny Mundo wins it. That'd be great. But I'll tell you, goes for the chair, and then Marty Elias pulls it from him. And see, here's the difference between people, folks. You have intelligent people, like my cohort in commentary here, who say, oh, that's just a smokescreen. Mundo's only doing that so he could do something else. And then here's me freaking out because, you know, of my PTSD of Mundo experiences. Oh, no, it took the equalizer. Sexy's going to get the cradle, and it's going to be an invincible cradle for whatever reason. And but he ends up getting brass knucks out of his pants, clocks her right in the freaking face, doesn't even bother for End of the World. I thought he was going to do that just to really put the nail in there. Nope, just pins her. 1, 2, 3. And you guys know the rest. Those of you that were there for live reactions, you know the rest. I cut a long-winded but thankfully well-received promo at the end. And I appreciate everybody who loved it, everybody who got into it. You guys are fucking awesome. But, you know, I still got anxiety because now he's got to hang on to it, and now he's got to cash it in. But now the question becomes, when is he going to cash it in? Because Mark Schoeneman even had to come in and say, he had to comment on one of our reviews. I just want to say right now, guys, wasn't a spoiler. I promise it wasn't a spoiler. I'm clean. Because he did say cash in after Aztec Warfare. If he can hold on to it for that long, even the cash in, I don't even care if the person who wins is on one leg and is bloodied from head to toe. I am going to have my heart in my goddamn throat. But it's incredible. I am so happy. I'd like to think that I'd be mature enough if Sexy Star had won to still say that it was a great match and she'll be a great champion. But no, I'm salty as fuck. I probably wouldn't have done that at all. But thankfully, I won't need to. Great match. Love that live reactions. He deserves it on a very sincere note. You know, 11 years in this business, and he went to the public speaking, and he's done all that stuff to work on his promos, and he's constantly working on his game all this time later. He loves being a heel. He's been fucking brilliant as a heel. I want to see him as world champion. He may not, though. There's so much going on in this universe. It may not happen. but we have tonight, and tonight was just exceptional, and I'm so grateful. So grateful. And Johnny Mundo looks fucking great with that championship. I'm just going to watch that one moment alone 2 million times, at least. And just a really great time. I know everybody was expecting more, but I mean, I don't even know if I can handle a discussion. Is he going to successfully cash it in? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? All I know is tonight, he is Gift of the Gods champion. And tonight, I'm fucking happy. And that's really what I'm doing, because I didn't even expect to get to tonight. And I wore the shirt and I went through everything, and I just want to be grateful.
Are you ever taking that shirt off?
No, I'm living in it now, and it's going to stick to me, and there are going to be foreign things growing within my body, but it's okay. It's okay. It'll all be okay. So, partner, everybody already knows the Mark perspective. Everybody already knows what I said, live reactions, and I tried to keep it brief here, albeit somewhat unsuccessfully. What did you think about all this?
I got to tell you, I'm disappointed that you tried so hard to keep it brief.
Dude, I feel like I said everything in live reactions. Like,
that's true. That is true. You had an amazing promo in live reaction.
It's just it's everything. I'm so used to him losing in these matches. And even the Trios Championship, like, yeah, he won that, and that was a great markup, but he was sharing that with 2 other people. What makes this so great is it's him. He's Gift of the Gods champion. He doesn't have to look to the left or look to the right, even though PJ Black and Jack Evans, big thanks to those guys. Huge fucking help, those guys. But when Johnny Mundo kicked out after that chair shot to the skull, I'm like, oh my God, it might actually be different this time. And it might not be a cage situation. It might not be a Puma situation. Villainy might actually win, which is hilarious, because in my promo I said with all the confidence, oh, Villainy always wins. But it doesn't. Not when you're Johnny Mundo. Not when you're a Johnny Mundo fan. You have to get used to him being really, really good for everybody else. And so for him to win tonight, for him to be able, not necessarily to go off the air, because we have something very important to talk about after this that I don't want to lose sight of, because that was amazing too. But for him to get that moment, it's everything. Because whether it's WWE, and even at points here, even though he's been used so well here, and I've even said I don't want him to go back ever. Like, I want him to end his career here. It's always been a close but no cigar kind of game. And I might, and he might, because it's his fucking career, his livelihood, be able to light that cigar finally. And I just bet it tastes fucking exquisite. And I just want to know. I want to know the feeling. I want to have that mark out. And because I feel like the markouts have been progressively building. Trios championship win was huge. What I did tonight probably scared some people, and rightfully so. What I do for the Lucha Underground Championship win, if it happens, cops will come here. They will have my information. I will be activated in the database, but I am totally cool with all of those consequences if he has that magnificent piece of hardware around his perfect waist. And can I just say too, one more thing I have to say, and then I am going to field it back to you, because I really do want to wrap this up, because I know we still have NXT tonight. But Johnny Mundo continues to have, and this is an objective point, not necessarily a marky one, Johnny Mundo continues to have one hell of a fucking year. This year that he has had, dude, like, I'm telling you, I'm just going to come out with it right now. It really is between, for me, Superstar of the Year, Kenny Omega and Johnny Mundo. I feel like I've had 2 of the most amazing years, both of them. And look,
that's hilarious, because my leader for Superstar of the Year right now is neither one of those people.
Who? Yeah, because I know you said Johnny Mundo was a contender for you, but I'm curious who's leading the pack.
Oh yeah, you. He's in my top 2. He's number 2 for me right now, but I can't not bring up AJ Styles in the year he's had.
Oh, that's true too. AJ's had a stupendous fucking year. See, why I mentioned Kenny Omega, and I want to say on this just very quickly. I mean, he's changed the game twice. First guy Jin to win G1 Climax, and he brought in the ladder match, and he was Intercontinental Champion this year. So I had to consider Omega. I had to. But Mundo has had one hell of a fucking year. You want to talk about a career year as a fan of his, and the great thing is I was a fan of his long before this year, so I can really revel in it. To see him have a year like this puts the biggest smile on my face. But can he take it one step further, dude? Because if he becomes Lucha Underground champion, I'm telling you right now, he is my pick fuck everybody else. He is my pick if he becomes Lucha Underground champion before the year, ends out. And so on an objective point, I did want to bring up, because you and I have both been saying it, it has been an amazing year for him. And I'm just so glad he's had a year like that, because, people can say what they want. I know he's had his share of, controversies and that in the history of the business, and he's had things to work on, but he has worked hard, where he's fallen short, and he's always working on his craft. And I don't think he's ever been better. I don't think he's ever been better than what he is right now. And I think that's when you have a brilliant team of writers. I think that's when you have an amazing creative universe. I think that's when you're autonomous. And I think that's when you've been in the game for over a decade to put that all together. And I am just so fucking happy for him. So you're winner.
John, it's funny. It's funny to me because this all... And I want to apologize to Paul William Gregory, because I know he's one of the people that are in our chat a lot that when I start using my sports analogies, he just completely has no clue what I'm talking about. So I apologize, but I'm going to use another sports analogy here. In football, in American football, there's this thing called the age apex, which is sort of when you can expect a player at any given position to reach their prime or be in their prime, right?
Right.
And for like wide receivers, it's ages 24 to 32-ish, with the prime years being like 27 and 29. With running back, it's kind of in like the mid 20s to late 20s kind of range. With quarterback, it's pretty much if they're bad at the beginning of their career, they're probably not going to get good. But with wrestlers, I've noticed that there's kind of an age apex where people really do start doing their best work from 35 to 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Mundo falls in there.
He does. And
it to me, like, I've been kind of connecting those dots regarding like a pro wrestler's sort of age apex for probably the better part of the last like 6 or 7 years now. And the fact that Mundo is falling into that category now, doing his best freaking work, it's awesome. He is so good. And like you said, man, he's been doing this for 11 years now. He started late. He started wrestling when he was already in his mid-20s, like 24, 25, I think.
Right,
so
right.
The fact that he even started late and he's still gotten to be this freaking good. Like,
yeah.
And it's not just you either. Like, I know that sometimes when you're this much of a fan of someone, you kind of have it in your mind, like, am I overrating him just because I love him so much? But no, you're not. He legitimately is that freaking good right now. Like, he's on fire. Even though tonight's match was a bit of a schmoz, I wouldn't have it any other way. He won the Worldwide Underground way, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, dude, I have no pride. Like, by any means necessary. Win that freaking match. And yeah, to me, I love it. And again, the only really sound point I can make is that it's just a continuation of a stellar freaking year. And I just hope he can punctuate it with a world title win, because if he does, I mean, dude, that's it. That is the career year.
Yeah.
It's just winning whatever world title you're competing for. And yeah, I mean, AJ's already done it, which is, one of many reasons why he's probably ahead of the pack. And I'm glad you brought him up, because why I really haven't given him much weight until now. That's blasphemy on my part. But yeah, it's such a great year for so many well-deserving performers. Even with all the injuries and Roman Reigns and just Monday Night Raw, like, even for all the bad that this wrestling year may have, it's also going to go down as one of the better years for me, not just because of Mundo's success, but really the success of everybody that's just really worked so hard. And you felt like, oh, well, maybe they won't reach this level of success, but then they do. It's really been a feel-good year this year. And yeah, great match.
Dude, we were even talking during Lucha Underground Live Reactions, like, this might be your best, as a fan, your best year ever.
Yes. Oh, dude. Dude, I mean, without question.
I mean, I would say it's pretty, safe to say that prior to this year, your best year ever was probably 2004, right?
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
So the fact that now, not only is Mundo on the cusp of winning not only his first ever world title, but the best, most prestigious world title in wrestling right now.
Yes.
Not only that, but also the fact that if we were to look at the rest of your sort of top five, and the reason I can do this is because I'm weirdly obsessive, and I actually wrote down top fives for both of us. The rest of your top 5 right now, it's Mundo at number 1, Kevin Owens at number 2. So immediately Universal Champion. How you doing?
Yeah.
Rusev at number 3, going to be in one of Hell in a Cell's main events, trying to get his U.S. title back. Rollins at number 4, going against Owens for the world title, and Marty Scurll, the 2016 Bolo winner, at number 5.
Yes, dude. Yes. And I could go on a whole other tangent about that, but this isn't the time or place. I mean, it really has been a phenomenal year for me and 4 people in my fave 5. And just looking for Mundo to take it all the way, man, because that's the one mark out I have always wanted to give. And just one match. And he's right back in it. 3rd straight season. He's got some world title implications going on for himself. I love it. He always finds his way back into the picture. And
what were his world title implications in season 2? I forget.
Season 2, I think he won. He won that tag match that got him in that 5-way or that 6-way where winner went to the Ultima Lucha Dos world title match. And that was, I think, the closest he came that year. I don't think he actually competed for the world title. Of course, season 1, he had multiple outings, Aztec Warfare and then All Night Long. So some way, he's always been involved in something with greater world title implications. And now this season, it's Gift of the Gods. And, so great stuff.
Yeah,
great.
It is.
Yeah, it is. But, dude, that's all I'm going to say about that. Unless there's anything you want to add, we have a very interesting cinematic to talk about to close. So,
Prince Puma.
Prince fucking Puma working out. Vampiro comes in and pretty much says, hey, congratulations on the win against Muertes last week, but you're not done with Muertes. And he brings up the reason why, Conan, which immediately sends Puma into a rage because that's still a very sore spot for him, something that cuts him very deeply. And, Vampiro says, Muertes and death in general, they put Conan into the ground. They got him in that casket. You've got to do the same to Mil. And then Puma says something to Vampiro like, I still don't trust you. And Conan hated you and you hated him, hinting at that whole relationship. But really the big thing here is, and Vampiro just concluded with, I hate it. And it almost seems like it has that little cut, like, the evil Vampiro trying to take over Conan, but I always respected you. But the big thing to take away from this cinematic partner is we are getting grave consequences, Puma and Muertes. Now, I want you to talk about this because it was you that had Puma Muertes Ultima Lucha as your match of the year that year. So what do you think about these two guys doing grave consequences?
I'm so excited to see this, dude. I'm kind of scared for Puma because, again, there was a really heavy rumor right around the time that these tapings were happening that Ricochet was leaving Lucha Underground and that they might end up killing Puma off, and it wouldn't surprise me if this was how they did it. But, my only hope is we saw in the trailer Vampiro grabbing Puma by the throat, so we know that scene is still yet to happen this season. So I still have hope that even if Mil wins, which I'm hoping Puma wins, but even if Mil wins and kills Puma, that Vampiro resurrects him and we get Dark Puma.
Dark Puma. That sounds fucking epic. Yes, please on that. Dude, I'm excited for it too. I'm going to actually take the words out of your mouth that you said when we kind of speculated on this possibility. This is the one match that could top their Ultima Lucha match because Grave Consequences has never disappointed. I'd still say the first is the best between Fenix and Mil because I love the storytelling in that, but Mil and Matanza had a fun, graver Consequences, and these two of the best performers in the temple working with a stip like that. Dude, it is going to be insane. And I hope Puma wins because I don't want Ricochet to leave. I think he is brilliant, especially when he's under a mask and he can rely on emoting through that mask and body language. He's just sublime as a performer. Like I can heap all the praise on Mundo, and believe me, I have all night. But Prince Puma is the type of performer.
And you'll continue to.
And I'll continue to. And I'll love it. But Prince Puma, Ricochet is one of those performers that you would use the word brilliant and it doesn't seem excessive. It doesn't seem hyperbolic. It fits like a hand in the glove. He's just that good at what he does. Grave Consequences should be great between these two. I'm excited, and I think whoever wins it, logically, should really just be looking full steam ahead to Aztec Warfare and becoming Lucha Underground champion. Because when you survive a match like that, especially against the caliber of either Mil Muertes if Puma wins or Puma if Mil wins, then yeah, it's about time you start reasserting yourself as top dog around here. So very curious where this goes. And one more thing, because you mentioned a great possibility if Puma does lose, that may not be his write-off, because Vampiro seems to be very interested in Puma for whatever reason. I happen to think it may be something, and I think you even originally said this to your credit, tying back to Pentagon Dark, but we don't know. But if he does get that casket lid shut on him, I could see Vampiro resurrecting him. I don't think that was far off what you said. And Dark Puma, or Puma Dark, whatever you prefer, sounds very intriguing. Sounds very, very interesting to me. And if it sounds interesting to me, it's really got to sound interesting to the people in the writers' room of Lucha Underground, thinking, what do we do with Puma next? And that's why he continues to be, all this time later, in this spot, one of the most compelling characters. He hasn't gotten stale by any means. And again, I think that's the benefit of rotating your performers, keeping certain scenes fresh, but overall having a universe that's just so breathtaking in its scope that you can do things like this. So we'll see, because whoever wins Grave Consequences between Muertes and Puma, the biggest winner might just be Vampiro. So something to think about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been saying this since the beginning, since he started talking to Puma like this. Vamp has an agenda. He knows what he's doing. Maybe the reason that he wants Puma to go against Mil is because he knows he's not ready, and he wants to be the one to resurrect Puma because that gives him power over Puma.
Right. And I mean, hey, we look at a lot of themes in Lucha Underground. Power is one in my mind because, Cueto wants to keep it. Katrina was vying for it a little while back. Power is a central concept to me. Violence and stuff like that. And yeah, why should Vampiro's motivations be any different? I think you're 150% right. I'm stoked for this match. And again, this might actually be the best of their little series, because this will be the third match they've had. Each man now has a win apiece, and how funny that this is how the rivalry ends, literally in a casket signifying death. So great stuff.
Definitely. All right. Well, I think we can move on to our next segment, dude.
High spots and low shots. Oh, I'm going to revel in this tonight. My low shot is Sexy Star, because you started the show telling Dario Cueto more or less, okay, listen, this is what's going to happen with my Gift of the Gods championship. You are in control of your fate, and in 1 hour, your whole world went to shit. You lost the Gift of the Gods championship, and now you, like everybody else, save for your little buddies, Fenix and Aero Star, have to rely on Aztec Warfare to do what you want, and that's become the first female Lucha Underground champion, to which I say, good luck to you. And oh, by the way, thanks for the Gift of the Gods championship. So Sexy Star is my low shot.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I mean, you kind of took the easy way out, so I guess that leaves me with a creative side for my low shot. So, I think my low shot is going to have to be Cage. I had the opportunity to put this best of 5 series away. You could have secured yourself the right to inherit a god, and you got a little bit too cocky going for the Steiner screwdriver rather than just kind of clubbering away on Texano, and you got caught. And the thing is, you were like, Cage was even standing. He was the one standing when the match was over. Texano was done, but that tight small package ended it.
You know what, bro? I think that's a brilliant argument that you make. I completely agree with that. Rough going for Cage, but the door hasn't closed on him completely just yet, so we'll see if he can recover. As for my high spot, it's funny, because you said in my low shot that I took the easy way out. Kind of like Johnny Mundo did with a handy pair of brass knucks, which is exactly why he's my high spot. Johnny fucking Mundo, your new Gift of the Gods champion, and soon to be, and I say it with the utmost confidence, Lucha Underground champion. He is my high spot now. He is my high spot forever. Case closed.
Well,
yeah.
I won't sign on to the forever part, but I don't have a better high spot than that. So this is just going to have to be a co-high spot because I'm not picking anyone else. That's the only correct answer tonight.
You're damn right it is. We welcome you aboard. We make s'mores here to celebrate. My marshmallows are roasting on the fire. So you can
I'm so lucky. I love s'mores. That's amazing. I haven't had s'mores in so long. Holy crap.
This is what happens when you join the winning team. I mean, you don't mind punning innocent people and their dreams across fields, do you?
Of course not. Who would?
Well, see, there you go. See, people, this is what happens when you sell your conscience. So, you can contact me there to sell your conscience or go through my provider, 423, Get Fame. Interested to see him hopefully next week. So, yeah, co-high spot Johnny Mundo. With that said, is there anything you want to say about Lucha Underground tonight before I take us home?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, even with everything that I've been spouting tonight, I think I'm good too. So, with that said, guys, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes the video gets, the more likely we are to be at the top of YouTube search results for Lucha Underground reviews. And come on, people. You know that we deliver the best Lucha Underground reviews on YouTube, so help us take our rightful place atop the throne. So be sure to leave a like. And also, you guys already know all the amazing stuff to check out because of my cohort and commentaries backgrounds. What you may not know, submit questions for Q&A. The window has an imperceptible opening at this point. You have until Friday the 28th. We do Q&As last Friday of every month.
That's in 2 days, people.
2 days. We're doing it this Friday, banging it out. So get your questions in. You already know all the media that you can take advantage of to submit questions. Get them in. Everybody has up to 5 questions per Q&A. You can divide them up any way you want. And it could be on any subject within reason. And yeah, we'll just have a good time with it, as we always have. And yeah, that's it. So Q&A this Friday, and we will see you again for our NXT review, where hopefully Joe kills somebody, because honestly, all my mind is on is your new Give to the Gods champion, Johnny fucking Mundo. Yes! Yes! All right. Tune in and peace out. Yes!